There must be a shortage of journalists for CNN to hire, because in lieu of hiring journalists, they've decided to hire more former Trump administration officials or campaign workers. The latest example is Farah, who worked in specifically was working for Mike Pence and the Pentagon before serving as Trump's communications director from April of 2020 to December of 2020. Now, she was somehow later rejected from Trump world because she started to become a little more critical after, I don't know, his bigoted, homophobic, and racist statements? No, not because of that. Was it because of him wanting to avoid providing disaster relief funds to various states he didn't like? No, not because of that. Was it because of all the other issues that Trump was involved in, including his impeachment? No, not because of that. She waited until the riots happened in our nation's capital, like the final hour, to decide, yeah, maybe Trump's not such a great guy. And since she's now critical of Trump, CNN's like, I jump in it, right? Because as long as you don't like Trump, we will hire you even if you enabled Trump in the entirety of his administration. So,
and I just want to jump in for one quick correction.
I'm sick of it, garbage. It's all garbage, but go ahead, correct me.
As you're about to see in the quote here, she criticized Trump on January 6th, but left in December before it happened. But overall, I billion% agree with Anna. So she was there all the way to the December of 2020, and notice that's after Trump lost. Then all of a sudden, golly gee, look at what I found. My conscience.
She's so bold.
Yeah, and
so brave.
Well, if you stayed in power, well, then I would have continued working for you, even though I know you're a monster. Oh, you lost power. I will do the standard Washington thing now of being brave and coming out against you on some small issues. And then I will be rewarded by CNN or other mainstream media who want to kiss Trump fans' asses, right? Now you say, wait a minute, she came out against Trump. Oh, come on, it's all a ruse, okay? They want to hire right-wingers, they're desperate to hire right-wingers. All you have to say is the bare minimum. Yes, doing an attack of Congress in order to try to overthrow a democratic election is bad. Oh, good enough, come on, right-winger, hurry up, we love you. Journalists, we don't care about that. You were lying for Trump all that time? You were his main communications person for a big stretch there? Great, come on in, we love it. Who cares about the truth?
Let me just be clear about something, okay? I don't care if it's a former Trump official. I don't care if it's a former Biden official. The whole point of journalism is supposed to specifically hold people in positions of power accountable, not hire people who worked for or are part of these positions of power so they can then come in and essentially provide a pro-power perspective. We don't need the pro-power perspective. Look, if CNN comes out with a statement, they're like, listen, we don't actually do journalism, we do infotainment, and we provide or run interference on behalf of people in positions of power, awesome. Then I have no problem with CNN. At least they're being clear about what their actual role is in society. But they pretend to be journalists, they pretend to want to hold people in positions of power accountable, and then at the same time, investigative journalists, get laid off or don't get the, honestly, the priority or the necessary attention to break the stories that actually matter. And instead they fund this garbage. Does CNN understand why people hate them so much? That's what I want to know.
No, I know for a fact they don't. Anytime you ask about a real critique of them, either from a progressive perspective or just, hey, you guys are corporate media and you seem to support the status quo 24/7. They're flummoxed by it. They're like, what? We thought the only critique was from the right wing. And so we were just telling right wing, well, we love you, we'll hire your spokesperson who lied to us 24/7 because we love Republicans, and as long as they're corporate Republicans. And so I should do my own correction. They're not necessarily kissing the ass of Trump supporters, because now that she said something slightly critical of Trump, she's lost that camp. They're kissing the ass of corporate Republicans, right?
The establishment.
Exactly.
Period.
Corporate Republicans, corporate Democrats.
Yes.
If you're part of the establishment, CNN will do marketing for you.
Exactly. And by the way, Cenk, as you correctly pointed out, thank you for the clarification. She left the Trump administration in December, but hadn't even decided to criticize Trump until the Capitol riots happened. Now, during an appearance on CNN, Farah said this. I'm sorry, she was on The View, not CNN. She said, "I left because I was afraid of where these myths could take us."
Oh, you realize that in December of 2020, Muslim ban, oh, awesome. Okay, discrimination against transgender people, yes. Calling Mexicans criminals and rapists, awesome, right? All those things were awesome, and you're getting paid, and you loved it, and you were part of Goebbels' team. But now CNN says, oh, she's not working for Goebbels anymore. And so she probably still hates Mexicans and Muslims and transgender people and gay people and all of those other folks, right? But she tweaked Trump after she left to get a job with us. Well played, Alyssa, well played. We do journalism here at CNN.
And I just want to remind CNN of who they just hired, okay? Here is a video of Alyssa Farah, their new hire, talking about fraud in Georgia during the 2020 election.
What is the GOP doing to ensure fair elections in January?
Well, good morning, Sandra, and thanks for having me. So the Georgia Republican Party has been taking efforts. They have efforts underway to ensure that we have signature verification, that we have poll watchers. But what we're really trying to convey to voters, and listen, understanding that millions of Americans have concerns about irregularities and fraud that we saw in the 2020 elections. But what we're conveying to Georgia voters is if you don't want a rigged election, you absolutely have to get out and vote.
There was no fraud in Georgia, none. She just perpetuated that lie. CNN has decided to hire her now. In fact, there were multiple recounts in Georgia, which ended up doing what? Oh, that's right, turning up dozens more votes for Joe Biden, who won that state, fair and square, period.
Look, this isn't about defending Chris Cuomo. He is long gone. I don't want people to misinterpret it. It's just that when Cuomo was being attacked, Chris, not Andrew, what I couldn't stand was all the other people at CNN pretending that they had journalistic ethics.
Oof, so ethical.
Yeah,
so
like
ethical.
the Jake Tappers of the world who were looking down their nose like, oh, I do declare he was working with a politician, they say, a politician. Well, that is frowned upon here. Oh, you were working with Trump and doing his propaganda for him? Come on in, the water's warm. What ethics? You guys are a joke. Total utter joke. You don't do news, you do marketing for corporate rule. Keep it real.
And real quick, look, this is not an isolated incident. CNN has a habit of doing this. So for instance, there was Sarah Uygur, who was originally hired as a political editor before the 2020 election. She worked for Jeff Sessions under the Trump administration. After backlash, CNN's like, all right, fine, I guess she won't be one of the editors in covering the 2020 election. We'll have her focus on other roles within CNN. But to give you some other examples, Sean Duffy, a former GOP congressman and Trump loyalist, was hired by CNN as either a political commentator. You also had Corey Lewandowski, Trump's 2016 campaign manager, Jeffrey Lord, author.
Who's a total nut.
Author of What America Needs, The Case for Trump. And by the way, he was fired for tweeting Sieg Heil. Jason Miller, communications director for the 2016 Trump campaign. Mark Short, former White House legislative affairs director for Trump. I mean, not all of these people are still working for CNN, but my point is CNN hired these people. Individuals who enabled Trump's terrible behavior while he was in office with no problem. CNN found no problem with that.
Well, CNN gave us Donald Trump to begin with. They gave him nearly $1 billion in free advertising during the 2016 run because Jeff Zucker thought he was great for ratings. Remember Jeff Zucker was the executive producer of The Apprentice with Donald Trump, and when he was running CNN, he's like, oh yeah, Donald Trump, man, he'll be great for ratings. And Zucker worked closely with Trump. He knows that Trump is a monster. And he knows that Trump is incompetent. They had the producers had to nearly staple notes on people's foreheads because Trump's such an idiot. He couldn't do anything right at The Apprentice. They had to highly produce him, right?
Right.
So he knows that Trump's an idiot, incompetent, and a terrible person. But he
he's
thought,
good for
ratings. We do news at CNN. Get out of here, man. Total and utter frauds. And all they ever do is this. And by the way, CNN, you hired all those Trump supporters. Did that help? Does it look like Trump people are now watching you and that they like you? No, they're the first. You're the first ones that they attack because their job is to tear down anything that would slightly criticize Trump. And you invite those ghouls and gobblers into your own organization because you're so greedy for ratings. Oh, Republicans watch us. Oh, corporations advertise with us. You give the same money to Republican politicians and Democratic politicians. And by the way, super last thing. We gave you all those Republicans and former Trump guys, but they hire former Democratic goons too, right? And you think that former Democratic spokespeople are any more honest? They might be more decent. They might not hate Mexicans and other groups. But they also work for corporations, and they also work for corrupt politicians, and they also lie for a living.
Heidi Heitkamp, right? On MSNBC.
Claire McCaskill.
I always mix them up, sorry.
No, Heidi Heitkamp goes on CNBC all the time, goes on all of these cable news.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, genius, Heidi Heitkamp. What did she do? She lost in North Dakota. And Claire McCaskill hired by MSNBC
right.
after she lost in Missouri. And they pretend that they're experts. No, they're experts at taking corporate cash and being corrupt. That's your main qualification to get on cable news. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.